Hello and good morning. It's Phil Thatch and I'm here at Enterprise South Nature Park, and this is the gravel road that leads to the Summit Knobs Equestrian Trail, and I'm right at the edge of the gravel road, and this wonderful thicket behind me a lot of times has migratory birds in it. And this morning I really wanted to get a white-eyed vireo, I think is how you pronounce it. Just an amazing looking bird. Some of my friends, Percy Sheely, Roger Ashley, a lot of my friends have gotten photographs of this and I never have. And the very first bird that I saw this morning, right over here in this thicket, I'll show you where. Kind of, let's see here. Right there's a pine tree, and then there's like a dead pine tree with dead vines growing all over it. And that white-eyed vireo was in there for about 5 minutes, just jumping around in that thicket. And I got a number of pictures of it. I'm using the 800mm f11 and the teleconverter, so I'm shooting at f16. It's fully overcast, so I've kind of hampered myself to get that 1120 millimeters. And I was shooting as slow as 1/200th, which usually I consider 1/250th the slowest speed I would use with the 800mm lens without the teleconverter, and I try to limit myself to 1/500th with, but today I was shooting 1/200th with the teleconverter, and gosh, I hope I got some without motion blur. I know I don't have any that don't have some foliage and vines in front of the bird, but anyway, any of those that came out good, let's look at them now. And I'm so happy to have gotten a lifer, a first time seeing or photographing the white-eyed vireo. There it is, my first ever photograph. First time I've ever seen with my own eyes and photographed the white-eyed vireo, and I'm just thrilled to have been able to make these photographs. And wow, that signature white eye sure is amazing and really adds a lot of character to this bird. And as you can see, I'm slowed down to 1/200th of a second. It's actively raining, as you can see in this shot. And in some of these pictures, like this one, 1/200th of a second and 16,000 ISO. I really like this picture of the bird hiding way back in the dense brush. And in this one, the bird is singing, although it is not a clear shot of the bird. I really do love this particular image. I saw this just out the car window, this beautiful wild daisy growing on the side of the road. And I'm also carrying my 100mm macro lens with me today, so I thought, you know what, I love to take photographs of daisies, so I will switch lenses really quick and pull over and get a picture of that flower. Let's look at it now. Whoa, don't fall. Here is the photograph of the daisy that I made with the 100mm Canon f2.8 macro lens at f8 and 1/200th of a second. I'm really excited about doing some macro photography this summer, and I brought the macro lens just in case, but right now it's warbler season. I put the 800 and the teleconverter back on, and I've been hearing prairie warblers all morning, but I concentrated on that white-eyed vireo because I've gotten prairie warblers a lot of times. But when the white-eyed vireo ran away, I decided to work on the prairie warbler a little bit, made just a couple of photos, and then I attempted to make some video clips of the prairie warbler. Here is the beautiful prairie warbler. Heather and I often photograph these, and they're probably our favorite warbler to photograph, but the only downside about this bird is we've kind of gotten really good at photographing these, so it's not as thrilling to get a photograph of a prairie warbler as it was when we first started getting pretty good at photographing the prairie warbler. But what a beautiful and colorful bird, and lots of contrast. And this is what it looks like when it's singing. It was singing when I made this photograph. And next I'll show you a little video clip of it singing. Well, I came up here to the end of the gravel road and the beginning of the Summit Knobs Equestrian Trail. And the first thing I saw up here was a beautiful field sparrow. Got a couple of photos of it, and then another white-eyed vireo showed up. So I made some photos of it, and then I decided I'm going to try to get video of the white-eyed vireo, and I never saw it again. And I did get video of a Carolina chickadee. So let's take a look at all that stuff. Here's a 20,000 ISO photograph of a beautiful field sparrow. Love the muted colors of the field sparrow, and this one just flew up and landed, and I was able to bag 2 or 3 shots before it flew off, and I was really happy to get these. Here is the white-eyed vireo that was up near the Equestrian trailhead, and I was so happy to see it. I was able to get a little bit closer to this one than I was the one down at the end of the road that goes to the Equestrian trailhead. Now, these white-eyed vireo, their range is from Central America all the way up to the Great Lakes region, not quite into Canada. And you can see them year-round in places like Florida, but here in Tennessee, they are only here during breeding season. Now, their food source is insects, which I think is interesting. And also I've learned that they are typically found lower in trees instead of high up, like you'll see some warblers way high up in trees. And it's nice that you don't have to point your camera up so high, typically when photographing a white-eyed vireo. Here is a common yellowthroat that I saw just ever so briefly and managed to get this photograph of it, and it was very, very underexposed when I made that shot. So I'll let you take a look at the raw file here, and this is why we shoot raw, so you can recover a bad photograph like that and end up with something that looks really nice. This is a Carolina chickadee that I made a really quick video clip of, and I've slowed it down to 40% speed. And even though it's only moving at 40% speed, it still looks like it's moving around really fast. So this gives you an idea of how fast these little birds jump around when they're at 100% speed. Just a beautiful little bird, the Carolina chickadee. I made the short trip from the Equestrian Trail down here to Volkswagen Wetlands, and when I got down here I found two birds that I was able to photograph. The orchard oriole, which is the first time I've photographed it this year. Heather and I got our first shots of it ever last year. And also the tiny and amazingly cute blue-gray gnatcatcher I think I was able to capture at least one shot of to show you. All the birds that you've seen so far in this video are very, very small birds, and perhaps the smallest of them is this tiny in the frame blue-gray gnatcatcher. This is an orchard oriole. This one is a male, and gosh, I had a hard time getting a photograph of it. I tried and tried, and I finally got this one and a couple more that were good enough to share with you. And it was singing and dancing around and usually landing in areas of trees that you just couldn't shoot through. Now this shot right here, other than the piece of twig going across its neck, is probably my favorite shot of this entire video. Hey, let's watch it sing. Well, since I last checked in with you, I have seen and photographed a green heron, which is a very small heron. We see them here a lot, but it's usually in the heat of the summer. Today's only April 21st, so it was cool to see one this early. I thought I'd be concentrating on migratory warblers today, but it was cool to get that shot. And I also saw an osprey, and it kind of flew over. I made some in-flight shots, not sure if they're going to be any good. And I saw a mated pair of mallards on the other side of the road, and made a shot of them as they were kind of resting on a log. Here is that green heron that I saw, and it was a long way away, but it's a little bit bigger bird than some of the other ones, and sometimes in the summer you can see these things eating frogs here. Here are the mallards that I made a photograph of as they were resting there on that branch in the water. That's the female or hen on the left and the male or drake on the right. And then a turkey came walking down the road. So I made some photographs of her and a little video clip. Here's the turkey walking down the road. This is a 40% speed clip of the turkey as it walked right down the middle of Ferdinand Peach Drive, and I thought it was beautiful to see. This has been an outstanding morning of bird photography for me. The lifer in the white-eyed vireo, and I also saw a lifer, the yellow warbler, and attempted to get a photograph of it. I saw it a couple of times, but I never did get a photograph. But now, as you can see, the sun is getting harsh and the shadows are getting short. So I'm going to call it a morning, and I really appreciate you hanging out with me today at Volkswagen Wetlands and the Summit Knobs Equestrian Trailhead. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. As always, I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye.